This was the passage that said that in a marriage, the bride and the groom, let me say the groom and the bride, represent Jesus and the church, the Christians. Okay? So when we think about that parallel there, that should be there, and how they represent each other, how we as the guys must represent Jesus, how you as the girls are called to represent the body of Christians. Well, now we think about what the Christian life looks like. And as we talked about in past weeks, if we're Christian, we know that we're Christian because Jesus called us, aren't we? If we put faith in Jesus, it's because he chose us and gave us that faith. The Bible says that we love Jesus because he loved us first. He first loved us. So in this same sense, the guy is called to be that one that goes after the girl. And just like we love Jesus because he loved us first, the girl can love the man because he loved her first. He pursued her in starting this relationship. Third thing from the Bible to support this idea is the book of Proverbs. I hope some of you guys have been sticking to it and reading Proverbs through this month. It's really a good idea for you to do that, especially on this subject matter. But in the book of Proverbs, right at the beginning, in the first couple chapters 5, 6, and 7, just look at those, and you see what happens when a girl goes after the guy. And in these cases, we see a girl seducing this guy. And we see that there's some principles in that show that there's some bad things that happen in that situation. There are principles to take from that are important. Now, how many of you guys have heard the expression about a woman's hand in marriage? Like a guy asked for his daughter's hand in marriage. Have you ever heard that before? Is that something you haven't heard growing up recently? Or you, Christy, you've heard that before? Has anyone never heard about a daughter's hand in marriage? Or you've heard that? Okay, I don't know if that's like foreign to you guys today. But usually you might have heard of this. The man goes to the girl's dad when he's ready for marriage, and he says, "Can I have your daughter's hand in marriage?" Okay, why is that important? Oh, sure. You can answer that. So asking permission. Right, and now why would the guy need to ask the dad's permission?
It's like being
respectful. Okay, and the dad hands off his daughter. So let's talk why that even happens. Well, you need to see, and girls, this will apply to you especially, but guys, you need to understand this. From the day a girl is born up until that wedding day, she belongs to her father. All right, she's his. She is daddy's little girl. She belongs to her father. He's there to protect her and to care for her all the days of her life until that day at that wedding that he gives her to the care of her husband. Okay? So she belongs to him. Now, see how this applies now to the start of a relationship. As we just said, let her be there. Who's got H? Honor, like we just said. Honor, respect the father. So the man, it's his job to pursue the woman, but the man does not just go up to a girl and say, "Hey, you want to go out? You want to be my girlfriend?" As we just talked about, she belongs to her dad. So the man needs to ask the girl's father. We were just talking about Spider-Man, our group over there. Who saw the new Spider-Man? Okay, good movie. I enjoyed it. Good action. But you know what bothers me, any kind of movie like this, is the relationship stuff. How do they get together as a couple? I mean, well, yeah. I mean, you see them. Think of the scene where they're in the school and he can't even spit out the words, right? But he wants to basically just ask her out and stuff. And even his mom is kind of like, "Did you ask her out?" There's just this idea with our culture today that the guy just goes up to the girl, just starts, and they just do it all on their own. This is not proper biblical thinking, because the girl belongs to her dad. Peter doesn't even go to talk to her dad. The dad doesn't even like him, but he just wants to have this thing with his daughter without involving the dad and getting his blessing on it. Now listen, if she's a Christian, which guys, if you're pursuing a girl, she better be Christian. Not only does she have an earthly father, but guess what? She has a spiritual father. The living God of the universe is her dad. Now, listen, you do not want to anger either of her fathers. Even the kindest, most gentle man on the planet, if he's in his right mind, he will hurt any one of you if you try to hurt his daughter or use his daughter on a date or intentionally break his daughter's heart. Now, if the kindest, gentlest earthly man who is sinful and evil at heart would do that, how do you think God will look at you? If that's his daughter, a daughter of God, and you seek to just use her on a date, use her for your own pleasures. Understand, imagine you guys, one day, imagine you have a daughter. Imagine you have a baby girl, and she's the world to you. And you raise her up, she's your princess, and you take care of her for 16 years of your life. And when she hits 16, some punk guy wants to just come take her out on a date and just use her for his own pleasures. That should make you angry. And what you need to see now is that every girl you look at is some man's daughter. And look at her in such a way that you respect the fact that she's not a father and she belongs to him. And every time you don't treat this girl properly, every time you say something to her that's inappropriate or not respectful, anytime you treat her like one of the guys, anytime you abuse her verbally or physically, God forbid, you are disrespecting and dishonoring her father. Good evening. Hello.
Sorry I'm late.
That's okay. No problem. Thank you for being here. Let's stay on task, though. So every time you do wrong to her, you disrespect and dishonor her earthly father and her God. Exodus 20:12 is on your paper there. Would someone please read this verse for me? Anyone else want to volunteer to read? Well, Nick, nice and loud. Exodus 20:12.
Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long in the land that your Lord, your God, is giving you.
Very good. Yeah, honor we see throughout the Bible, honoring those that are older than us, honoring our father and mother is so important. Here's an illustration by Paul Washer. Listen to this one, okay? Imagine, guys, that one night you just walk into a man's house and you take his car keys and you walk out and you get in his van and you turn on the engine and you take that man's van and you just drive around all night. And you just go around all night long, and at 2 a.m. you come back and you park his van in his driveway. How do you think that man's going to react toward you?
I don't know.
Now think for a second how you would do that with his daughter. And how as guys in our culture today, we will just take out a girl without even asking permission from her father. Now, what means more to the father, his van or his daughter? His daughter.
Well, it depends.
If he's in his right mind, his daughter should mean more. I want you to think about that. I want you to really think about that. But this is what we see in our culture, that guys will not honor the father. They will not ask permission. I hope you guys won't be like that. Ask her father. There's a blank on your sheet there. Ask her father. Listen, it doesn't matter if her father doesn't care. Yes?
What if the girl doesn't have a father?
Exactly. Okay, if she doesn't have a father.
Ask the mom.
Yeah, you can ask her mom. You can also ask her pastor. Ask her elders. Ask those people that are spiritual leaders in her life. Yes?
In this movie,
Yes.
the father was abusive
Yeah.
to his son, and the son ran away one day, and the father was looking for him.
Yeah.
And the mom was really sick, and
Yeah.
when the father came home, he was dead.
Really?
The son, he was in the hospital, so the father went to visit his son in the hospital, and he said, he started crying, and he said, I went out to look for you, and when I got back home, your mom was dead, and then he started flipping out on him, because he said, if I wouldn't have looked for you,
Yeah.
she wouldn't have been dead.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, so, if she doesn't have a father, find somebody in her life to honor. And when you go to that person, guys, share with that person certain things. Share that you have the intention of marriage. Share with him what are your plans for finances and for a career, for your job. Share with him your spiritual life and where you are in your walk with Jesus. Make sure he's aware of how you're involved in the church. Things such as these. Now, girls, big tip. I'm giving you a free big tip here, okay? If the boy asks you out directly, all right, and doesn't care to ask your parents what they think about it, all right, there's trouble there, okay? There's even bigger trouble if that man, once he's in that relationship with you, which you shouldn't be in because he didn't ask your parents, but if you're in that relationship and he doesn't want to come around your family, cut it off. There's a problem there. If a guy just wants to be around you alone and doesn't want to meet your parents and your family, there's a problem. He's up to no good. He's got bad intentions. And maybe you guys are thinking right now that you really don't want your parents involved in your dating life. I don't want my mom knowing what I'm doing. I don't want my dad knowing. Well, here's what I want you to think about. You know about arranged marriages in the Middle East? Yeah. Where the parents basically pick who their daughter and son marry and they don't really have much of a say? Well, before you think that that's such a horrible thing and it's so terrible, notice this. You know what the divorce rate for those marriages are? 4%. 4%. You know what the divorce rate in America is? About 50%. Think about that.